My name is M.J.Rose, and I'm an author, and this is my 12th book, and it's called The Book of Lost Fragrances. And it's a really interesting story of what happened and why I'm at Elements. I was doing research and found out that Cleopatra was a major perfume aficionado and addicted to perfume. And in ancient Egypt, perfume was very much not only cosmetic, but it was also religious. They were great believers in the afterlife, and they believed that the soul went up to heaven on the smoke of incense. So Mark Anthony built Cleopatra a perfume factory, which is they just recently found in the Israeli desert. Remnants of, obviously, not all. And he imported a lot of plants from other countries for her to grow there, so she had a lot of interesting different scents. And in ancient Egypt, priests were the perfumers because it was all tied into religion. So at Cleopatra's perfume factory, she had priests working on all different scents, and they kept a book of her fragrance formulas. And Cleopatra made sure that everything was kept in order, and the book was seen by Pliny the Elder and Cicero and a lot of very famous historians. But somewhere around the 1st century, the book was lost. So Cleopatra kept this book of all her fragrances, and it was seen and written about by Pliny and Cicero and other famous historians of the day. But after the 1st century, the book was never seen again. It was lost. And so I thought it was such a fascinating story that there was somewhere a book of lost fragrances that I decided I was going to tie that into a modern day story about a French family of perfumers who their family legend is that they have Cleopatra's book of lost fragrances, but no one's ever seen it. And the book starts with brother and sister own the perfume company. It's in Paris, and the brother says he's found something relating to the book, and then he's missing, and there's a dead body in the store. And it takes place in Paris, ancient Egypt, in China. It has to do with Tibetan Buddhism and perfume and reincarnation and Cleopatra, and it encompasses a lot of things. It's suspense. It's called a book of psychological suspense or paranormal suspense. And when I was writing the book, it was very hard to write about perfume. And how do you tell somebody what a rose smells like? So I was burning candles like crazy to just infuse my environment with scent while I was writing, to keep me thinking about scent. And one of the candles that I burned all the time was one of Joya's candles. And so when the book was finished, I never met Frederick, but when the book was finished, I searched him out and I gave him an advance copy of the book. And the book's not coming out till March. This is over the summer. I gave him a copy of the book just as a thank you because he'd given me so much inspiration. And he read the book and fell in love with the book, he says. I'm so lucky that he fell in love with the book. And he was really inspired by the story and the fragrance to create a fragrance based on the book, which is beyond my wildest dreams. I never could have. I originally thought when I was writing the book that it would be wonderful if I could find a perfumer to do that, and then I looked into what it would really cost, and it was completely prohibitive for an author to pay to have a perfume made. And Frederick offered to make it, and he came to a meeting with me, and he let me smell it, and I started to cry because it was so amazing that he actually, that my little perfume that I invented. So this isn't exactly the perfume in the book, but it's inspired by it. And in the book, the fragrance that's lost is called âme sœur, which is French for soulmates. And it's called the scent of soulmates because Cleopatra's idea, now I made this part up, that whole part was real. But what I made up was that Cleopatra was Greek, not Egyptian originally. Her family was Greek. They believed in reincarnation. Cleopatra was madly in love with Julius Caesar. And Mark Anthony was really just a political marriage. She really never got over Julius Caesar. So my idea was that if there was a scent that could help you remember your past lives, and she could have it in this life and the next life, she'd be able to find Julius Caesar again. whoever they were, as soulmates, they'd always be able to find each other again. So what if her perfumers really had been able to create this scent of soulmates? Because now, but we're back to truth. The Tibetan Buddhists and most people who believe in reincarnation believe that the way you find your past life is you go into a deep meditative state. And incense is one way that a lot of people, regardless of reincarnation, go into deep meditative states. So I combine that. Like, okay, what if the perfume had a hallucinogen in it, and it helped you go into a meditative state, and you could access your past lives, and Cleopatra could find Caesar again. Now, it's not about Cleopatra, but it's based on that concept. So that's a little bit about the book and the perfume. And the perfume is going to be for sale after the book comes out. But currently we're doing a promotion where anybody who pre-orders the book, and the book has a website called The Book of Lost Fragrances, very original, but anybody who goes there and reads about the scent on the tab can pre-order the book, and it gives you instructions on what to do then to get the free sample. The fragrance in the book is very much based on ancient Egyptian scents that include incense scents, frankincense, myrrh, blue lotus, which is which happens to be a little bit of a secret that's in the book, so I don't want to tell you too much about blue lotus. I'll give away too much of the book, but so Frederick used those notes kind of as an inspiration, but his version, first of all, his version is an oil and a wax. And what's interesting about that is that in the book and in Cleopatra's time, it would either have been an oil and a wax. They were an alcoholic base. And I love oil and wax because they last longer. So this little sample is actually an oil. So this has an orange blossom and rose and jasmine and frankincense, and those are the main notes. And what's great about this fragrance is a lot of older fragrances. I've become addicted to vintage scents and collecting them since I started doing this research, much to my wallet's chagrin, because some of them are crazy prices. But I noticed that so many older fragrances are rounded in a way that modern fragrances aren't, where you smell a modern fragrance, even a terrific one, and it's a note, or it's two notes, and it's over. And it's even reflected in all the names of so many fragrances that they're named for the note. But what was amazing to me about this fragrance is when I smelled it, and I put it on, and I wore it all day, is that it was rounded. It was like those old fragrances you can't pick out after an hour. It's just a beautiful scent. You can't go, aha, there's the frankincense, and aha, there's the rose. And so I was especially impressed and very happy with the fact that it has this older, mysterious, ancient kind of tone to it. In the book are photographs of some of my vintage fragrances that I've bought, and some of the research that I did, and my journals that I kept while I was doing research, and my vintage collection, and the Perfume Museum in Grasse. And then this is Olivier d'Urbano, if you're familiar with his scent. He was my first perfumer that I did research with, and one of the characters in the book is inspired by Olivier. Her brother is named Roby, and he's very much how I see Olivier. I fell in love with Olivier. He's very special. And I also worked with Sophia Grossman, who was kind enough to let me go up to her office and met with me a few times. And the research has just been like so much fun. I never had so much fun ever researching a book. And I'm actually going to write 2 more books in this series using the main character, because now that I'm entrenched in the world of fragrance, I can't leave it. Once I was in Paris on a vacation, and my boss at the ad agency called and said, we need you to come back because the creative director, the other creative director isn't doing the right job on this. We need you to come back and do it. And I said, I'll only come back if you buy me a bottle of Golconda, which had just come out and was $450 at the time, which is like $1,000 now. And I said, if you reimburse me for this, I'll buy it and I'll come back. At the time, you can only buy it in Paris. And he said, okay, I'll buy you the perfume. So that goes back like 20 years that I was that obsessed that I was willing to break a vacation short for a bottle of perfume. So what I loved about Golconda, other than the scent, which is fabulous, was the idea that it was so exclusive that I could only buy it in Paris. It's like I had to have it. And look at the exclusive pot that Frederick has made based on, inspired by the book. He's making 15 gold and ceramic, real gold and ceramic little pots with wax filled the fragrance, which is in the book what they find is remnants of a broken piece of pottery that has wax in it. So he was inspired by that. And I love it because it's so exclusive. There are only going to be 15 of them, and they're quite beautiful. Thank you.